If you knew you might not make it home, what would you say in your final goodbye? For soldiers throughout history, a last letter home is more than just words on a page. It's a final declaration of love, a testament to duty, and a desperate attempt to hold on to the world they're about to leave behind. These letters aren't written for history books or grand speeches. They're written for a wife, a mother, a child. They are whispered onto paper in the quiet moments before a battle, in the belly of a ship, or in the suffocating heat of a foreign land. They don't just tell us how a person died. They tell us who they were before the war took everything else. Today, we're opening 4 final goodbyes from 4 different American wars. From the birth of the nation to our modern age of conflict, these letters reveal a gut-wrenching, universal truth, that the heart of a soldier, in the end, is almost always turned towards home. These are the last words of heroes. The Revolutionary War Colonel James Williams. Our first letter comes from the crucible of the United States itself, the American Revolution. The year is 1780, and the war in the South has become what many historians describe as a brutal civil war, pitting neighbor against neighbor. Colonel James Williams was a South Carolina militia commander, a farmer, and a miller. He wasn't one of the famous founding fathers from the textbooks, but a man of the frontier, forced to take up arms. The conflict was so personal that Williams had to move his wife, Mary, and their children to the relative safety of North Carolina to protect him from loyalist harassment. In October 1780, Williams and a band of frontier militiamen cornered a loyalist force at a rocky ridge in South Carolina called Kings Mountain. Before what he knew would be a ferocious battle, he put his affairs in order. In his correspondence with his wife, he expressed his powerful sense of duty, with the sentiment that he was obliged to take the field in defense of his rights, his liberties, and his children. For Williams, the fight was a necessity. He saw his service as a debt owed to future generations, to his own children. He commanded his Little River Regiment at the Battle of Kings Mountain, a pivotal fight that Thomas Jefferson later called the turn of the tide of success. Colonel Williams led a charge up the rocky slope and was mortally wounded near the very end of the Patriot victory. He died the following day, his leadership so valued that he is often honored as having been promoted to Brigadier General right around the time of his death. His last words on paper weren't a prediction of his own death, but a statement of purpose. It was the final testament of a man who saw his role not just as a soldier, but as a father protecting a future he would never get to see. The Civil War Major Sullivan Ballou. 81 years later, the nation that James Williams helped create was tearing itself apart. In July of 1861, the American Civil War was still young, filled with a sense of romantic purpose and the tragic belief that it would all be over in a few months. From a camp near Washington, D.C., a 32-year-old lawyer and politician, Major Sullivan Ballou of the 2nd Rhode Island Infantry, sat down to write to his wife, Sarah. The Union Army was about to march into Virginia for the First Battle of Bull Run, and an overwhelming sense of what he was leaving behind consumed him. His letter is now one of the most famous in American history. He begins, "The indications are very strong that we shall move in a few days, perhaps tomorrow. Lest I should not be able to write again, I feel impelled to write a few lines that may fall under your eye when I shall be no more." Ballou assures her of his courage, stating he is, willingly, perfectly willing, to lay down all my joys in this life to help maintain this government. But then, his heart breaks through the stoic patriotism. "Sarah, my love for you is deathless," he writes. "It seems to bind me with mighty cables that nothing but omnipotence can break. And yet, my love of country comes over me like a strong wind, and bears me irresistibly on with all these chains to the battlefield." He writes of the blissful memories and the pain of giving up the hope of seeing their sons grow into honorable manhood. In the letter's most haunting passage, he promises to watch over her from the spirit world. "If the soft breeze fans your cheek," he writes, "it shall be my breath. Sarah, do not mourn me dead. Think I am gone, and wait for me, for we shall meet again." 1 week later, on July 21, 1861, a Confederate cannonball shattered Sullivan Ballou's leg at Bull Run. Left behind by the retreating Union Army, he died a week later. His letter, preserved by his family and made famous through their copies, became his final battlefield, where the love for his family and the love for his country waged their own terrible, beautiful war. These stories are more than just history. They're a direct connection to the human soul. If you believe personal stories like these are the most powerful way to understand our past, take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe. It tells us that thoughtful, emotional storytelling still has a place here. The Vietnam War. First Lieutenant Dean Allen. Let's move forward another century, to one of America's most divisive conflicts, the Vietnam War. This next story, from a letter preserved in private collections, is representative of the countless voices from that era. By 1967, the war was a brutal, grinding reality for the young men serving there. On July 10 of that year, a first lieutenant named Dean Allen found a moment on ambush patrol to write to his wife, Joyce. His letter is different from Ballou's. It isn't written on the eve of a great, named battle, but in the middle of the everyday tension and fear that defined the Vietnam experience. It's raw, immediate, and deeply lonely. There are many times while I'm out in the field that I really feel the need to talk to you, he begins. Being a good platoon leader is a lonely job. I don't want to really get to know anybody over here. It would be bad enough to lose a man. I damn sure don't want to lose a friend. You can feel the immense pressure on this young man, responsible for even younger men. He writes about the constant fear, a feeling soldiers are often taught to hide. Maybe sometime I'll even try to tell you how scared I have been, he confesses to Joyce. If I had prayed before or was religious enough to feel like I had the right to pray now, I probably would say one every night that I will see the sun again the next morning. He knows his words will worry her, and he tries to pull back, adding, "Don't worry about what I have said. I'm so healthy I can't get a day out of the field, and you know I'm too damn mean to die." He ends by telling her he loves her with all his heart. 4 days after writing that letter, on July 14, 1967, Lieutenant Dean Allen was killed in action. His letter survives as a stark, honest glimpse into the internal war that soldiers fight, the struggle to stay human, to stay detached, and to simply make it to the next sunrise. The war in Iraq. Sergeant Joshua Harapko. Our final letter comes from a more recent conflict, the war in Iraq. By the 21st century, communication had changed, with email and phone calls connecting soldiers to home. But for the most important messages, the ones to be read, just in case, the handwritten letter remained sacred. In 2005, U.S. Army Sergeant Joshua G. Harapko, a 21-year-old National Guardsman from New York, wrote such a letter to his mother from his post in Mosul, Iraq. His words are simple, direct, and stripped of all pretense. It's the voice of a modern son talking to his mom. "I'm writing this letter as a just in case," he starts. "First I want to say I love you so much. You were always there for me, you gave me the options to be a man, giving me slack in the rope to try to make the right decisions. No matter what, you always believed in me." His letter is a profound thank you. A final acknowledgement of a mother's love. But it's also a final request. Knowing the grief his death would cause, he tries to lift the burden from his family. "Please don't be sad, this is what I wanted to do and I am proud of it," he writes. "Promise me that you will go on with your lives. Go to a ball game, a movie, and don't ever forget about me. I just hope that I made you proud." He ends the letter, "I want you to know you raised the cream of the crop. Well, Mom, I have to go now. All that I have said here are words from my heart. I love you and miss you." On Memorial Day, May 30, 2005, Sergeant Joshua Harapko was killed in Mosul when his military vehicle was involved in an accident. His final letter is a testament to the modern soldier, brave, professional, but at his core, a son who just wanted his mom to know she had raised a good man, and that he loved her. 4 soldiers. 4 wars. 4 final goodbyes. Colonel Williams, writing of duty and birthright in 1780. Major Ballou, torn between his love for Sarah and his love of country in 1861. Lieutenant Allen, confessing his loneliness and fear from a jungle in 1967. Sergeant Harapko, telling his mom to go to a ball game in 2005. The technology of war changes. The uniforms change. The reasons for the fight change. But the language of the heart, in its final moments, remains startlingly the same. Love. Fear. Duty. And the desperate, human hope to be remembered not as a statistic of war, but as someone who was loved, and who loved in return. These letters are more than history. They are a sacred trust, passed from the fallen to us. They ask us to remember that behind every conflict, behind every headline, there are countless stories of personal sacrifice, of last words whispered onto a page, and of a love that was strong enough to outlast war itself. If you were handed one last letter from someone you loved, what would you want it to say? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want more stories that uncover the human side of history, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.